Hello and welcome to an overview of path tracing, a video by Andrew Smith, Timothy Small, Ian Hecker, and Alexander Matveyev. What is path tracing? Well, path tracing is a graphics rendering algorithm that is used to render images with realistic lighting. The algorithm was first presented by James Kaguya in 1986, with many different offspring and offshoots appearing since then. Today, however, path tracing is mainly used in the art of rendering 3D movies. For example, in 2006, Sony ImageWorks famously became the first animation company to render an animated movie completely using a path trace render. In this case, rendering the movie Monster House completely using their path trace renderer. Later in 2014, Disney Animation adopted a path trace renderer as their primary renderer for their 3D movies, with Pixar as well being reported to be using their own in-house path trace renderer. However, as we will come to see, these renderers are very computationally costly due to an almost brute force-like method to calculate the lighting in a scene. How does path tracing work? Well, we start by drawing a number of rays from the eye or the camera of the scene to a random pixel. Then, when the ray hits that pixel and intersects the surface, we calculate the direct illumination for that pixel based on all the light sources. After we've done that, we create a new ray based on the properties of the material of the surface that we hit. Maybe it's a rock and it's not very reflective. Maybe it's a mirror and it's super reflective, to calculate the indirect illumination. When we create that new ray, we then, after we hit a new surface with that array, we have to calculate the direct illumination for all the light sources on that new surface. After we do that, we create another new ray to calculate the indirect illumination. And we'll keep on repeating these steps of hitting surfaces and calculating new rays to act as the light reflecting off of that surface until we hit some stopping condition, such as maximum surface depth or the ray bounces into a light source. After we've gone through and done all these rays that bounce off of these surfaces, we have completed the lighting for that pixel, and we can now move on to the next pixel and do that for every other pixel in the view of our eye. As you can tell, this gets pretty expensive pretty quick, as we're having to make millions of calculations just to render a simple scene. We've seen how path tracing works, but what do the results of path tracing look like? I'm going to show you two images. One's a real-life image captured with a normal camera, and the other's a path-traced image, computer-generated. See if you can figure out which one is which. Here's two pictures of pens on fairly plain backgrounds. Now it's up to you to figure out which one you think is computer-generated and which one you think is real. Had some time to think? Let's take a look and see which one was real and which one was fake. As you can see, the image on the left is path traced, where the image on the right is a real image. As you can tell, the path tracing does a really good job in handling shadows and reflections, making it look pretty darn hard to distinguish from that real image on the right. Let's look at another set of images. Here's another set of images of two racing cars. I'm going to give you some time so that you can figure out which one is real and which one is fake. Think you figured out which one is real and which one's path traced? Let's see if you got it. If you guessed that the image on the left was the real image and the image on the right was the path traced image, you're right. Now let's move on to a more 3D environment. We've seen what path tracing looks like when used to render images, but what about when it's used for a 3D game? In this case, we're going to take a look at Minecraft. First, we're going to show a clip of the default Minecraft graphics, and then we're going to show what Minecraft looks like after a path tracing mod has been installed. Finally, some closing thoughts on path tracing. Path tracing is pretty powerful. It may be very expensive in terms of computation, but it's actually quite simple and thus is fairly easy to implement. Path tracing has become quite popular for tests such as animated movie rendering, and we may see more usage in other areas such as video games as computers get more powerful, or if we somehow manage to get quantum computing finally working. Thank you for watching. All the references for all the images and all the information on path tracing can be found in the description below.